There's been no reprieve in Taiwan as China has announced more combat drills in Taiwan's sea and airspace after a group of US politicians has touched down on the island. This congressional delegation follows the US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit, of course, that prompted Beijing to launch aggressive military exercises. Democrat Senator Ed Markey, a Senate Foreign Relations Committee member, and 4 other US representatives arrived in Taipei yesterday. Will Glasgow is the North Asia correspondent for the Australian newspaper. He joins me now from Taipei, which of course is Taiwan's capital. Good to talk to you again, Will. We discussed the other day the need for more visits to demonstrate that the West won't be intimidated by China. On the ground in Taiwan again, US representatives. And what's the response been like from China? More of the same?
Yeah, exactly. More of the same. I mean, there was a spectacular tantrum from Beijing, well, beyond a tantrum, US Speaker Nancy Pelosi a few weeks ago. You know, contrast, this is way, way, way lower. Now, there wasn't the lead-up that there was to the Pelosi trip for this delegation. But look, it's another senior delegation that have come over here from the US, and it's in the wake of that, of course. So, I mean, it does show the inability Beijing has to stop these happening. And to be honest, I mean, quite the opposite. The response from Beijing encourages these things. You know, this is very much about showing that US politicians, senior members of Congress won't be told what to do by Beijing. And pointedly, like President Joe Biden himself, the head of this delegation, goes way, way back in Congress. He actually signed the Taiwan Relations Act, which permits America to help support Taiwan in its defense by selling it military equipment and other things. So, yeah, Beijing's response, they've sent, as they always do, there's PLA jets flying around the island on Monday night ahead of this, 30 of them, 15 of those crossed the median line. So, look, that is concerning. That's behaviour that didn't happen only 4 years ago. It's normalised now, but it hasn't been the same kind of huge response that we had after Pelosi's visit, where you had the 6-point blockade around Taiwan and the ballistic missiles and all the rest of it.
Yeah, this is a lower level delegation, but as you say, he's still quite senior. You're talking about a senator who's on the Foreign Relations Committee. Perhaps the answer here, perhaps the intention is to keep these delegations rolling through, to make it more routine so that the Chinese response diminishes.
Yeah, well, look, one of the complications with the Pelosi trip is all the reporting on it. I mean, in the lead up, that means once it gets out, it becomes so much bigger. This one was done exactly as the Taiwanese like it, right? No one knew about it almost until the plane touched down on Songshan Airport tarmac, right? We find out they've arrived and it's like, wow, here comes another one. And Beijing does as well, right? They find out about then and it's too late for them to do anything, right? They can't do the bluster that they did for the weeks ahead of Nancy Pelosi's trip, saying they're going to shoot a plane out of the sky and all the rest. So instead, what we've had, the Chinese response, as well as those PLA jets I mentioned, there's hectoring performance from the Chinese Foreign Ministry yesterday evening once the news came out. Then there was hectoring performance from the Chinese Defense Ministry once the news came out. And they've announced sanctions on 7 Taiwanese politicians and officials, including the de facto ambassador in Washington, who they're furious about. She, of course, liaised with this delegation, as she does with all of those who come over to Taiwan, on how to do it and if the timing works. And also the head of Taiwan's National Security Council. Now, the sanctions on them, Chris, it's pretty funny. I mean, they're not allowed to go to the People's Republic of China or to Hong Kong. They would never go to the People's Republic or Hong Kong. I mean, no one sanctioned on this list would ever do that. It's absurd.
So, yeah, very good. All right, thanks, Will. Appreciate that update.
Thanks.
Will Glasgow there with those sanctions from Beijing, which won't be tested.